as I say, I was a building worker, and I've led the building games only ever had one national strike, one. And recently there was a Tory MP who got killed going to a surgery, and there was an outcry because no one, and as they said quite right, no one should get killed going to work, no one. Well, what they didn't realise is someone died every day in the building industry, not one, two, hundreds died per year. And so we went on strike, the one and only ever official building strike that there was. And I was living in a council house in North Wales with my wife and my two small boys. And because I'd had a bit of experience, the lad said, will you look after this area? I said, yeah, so I was in charge of North Wales. So the strike went on. It went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we won. We got our demands. That was, I think it was £30 for 35 hours, and that was great, and better health and safety. And then about 2 months later, he's just come knocking on my door. My two little lads were getting bathed in front of the fire. They were 4 and 5, and he just said, "Put your coat on, you're under arrest." So I was under arrest, and we ended up in court in Shrewsbury, and there was 6 of us in the dock, 6 of us, and all building workers, as I thought, all building workers, and the trial lasted 55 days, costing today's money about £30 million. And it turned out that the guy next to me here on the left, that it was 1, 2, 3, 4, me 5, and Desi Warren got the biggest sentence. They practically killed him really in the end. I'll tell you. Desi was there. This fella there, his name was John Carpenter, and he wasn't a builder. He got a union card the day the strike was called. Turned out he was a police informer. He was a police informer. We can't get nothing done about it. We were pardoned after 47 years. But Desi Warren, because I was a different character to him, I was in 14 prisons, he was in 17 prisons. And they were giving him the needle, the needle and the liquid cash, and I wouldn't take none of it. I said, I don't want none of that. Anyway, after we'd been in, I got 2 years, I got 3 2s, he got 3 3s. But we both made speeches from the dock, you see. And the judge, his name was Mays. He wasn't even a criminal barrister, he was an ecclesiastical lawyer, but he'd made him up to be the judge for this case. And listen, I want you somebody to check out on this. The security for that trial of this 6 building workers was probably the greatest, biggest security for any other trial, including the IRA, including the great train robbers. There was 700 police on duty outside the court. So after 55 days, we were found guilty, and as I say, I got 2 years. But I'd done it different than Desi, because I was raiding a 2 up, 2 down, with my mum, dad, 3 brothers, 6 of us in a 2 up, 2 down, with a cold water tap. So being in jail didn't bother me. So I spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. A lot of time I wouldn't wear clothes, and so I didn't have visits. If you don't wear clothes, you can't have visits. So as I say, I'd nearly done all my time. And the governor, he was an ex-bricklayer, who'd had to pack up because he had arthritis, his hands was like that. And he come into the cell, because I was in solitary because I wouldn't wear clothes. And he said, I want you to come to my, he said, you've got a visit tomorrow. And he was a lovely, lovely man. I said, listen, I don't have visits, because I don't wear clothes. He said, no, it's in my office. I said, in the governor's office? He said, yeah. He said, don't let me down. He said, you've got to be there. And I liked him. It was him that gave me the ragged trousered philanthropist. When I first went in jail, he said, have you read this? I said, no. He said, read it. Anyway, cut the story short, I go to his office, and I put a pair of shorts on, go to his office, and there's 3 people there. There's a lad called Alan Abrams from the Wirral, a lad called Billy Jones, a joiner from Kirby, and an MP from Birmingham called Tom Littrick. And they said, we want you to go home. I said, what? They said, we want you to go home. I said, are you joking me? I said, hey, I didn't want to be here in the first place. I said, but I'm not going. I'm not going home. I said, I've only got a couple of weeks to do, and then I've done a lot, and I can walk away here and do that yet. And he said to me, Desi had got 3 years, only got 2, Desi got 3. But what they were doing, they were giving him the needle, and they were giving him the liquid cosh. And apparently he was pretty ill. And they said, if you don't go home, Desi will do his extra year. Whereas if you go home, we can bring his release date forward, and in a week or two, we can throw him out, you know. And I said, look, and he said, look, he said, you write to him and tell him you're going home, but you can't tell him why. I said, what? He said, you can't tell him why because you know what he is. So I had to write to my mates, we'd been through everything together, say, dear Desi, listen, I'm going home, I'm missing the kids, and I'm missing this, and I'm missing that, and you know, blah, blah, blah. And he wrote me a letter back saying, you effing coward, you know, you shit house, we made a pact. Anyway, so obviously I couldn't tell him. So I never spoke to him, and he come out some months later, and I never heard from him, and I couldn't go and see him because there was stuff going on in his private life that I daren't tell him. He'd been through enough. And then one day there was a note under my door, and it just said, Desi would love to see you. And there was an address in Chester. And so I got in my car and I drove to Chester, and I went to this house, and you went in the back way, and I went in, I knocked on the door, and a woman's voice shouted, come in. I said, is Desi here? She said, he just walked through, he was in the front room. So I walked through. Now this fella, when we went to jail, he was a steel fixer, he had shoulders on him like Garth. And I went into this room, and there's a mattress on the floor. And he's lying on the mattress. And he was like that. He was skin and bone, his hair was snow white. And he had a rope from the floor screwed into one of the beams in the ceiling. And he pulled himself up. And he put his arms around me and he kissed me. And he said, do you know how long it is, Rick, since I've seen? I said, Desi, I don't. And he told me the amount of days it was since we talked. And he was thingy, you know, it was bad. And anyway, we got hold of his prison records, his medical records, and they sued the prison service, and he got a few £1,000 in today's money, worth about 30,000 quid, I would imagine, you know what I mean? And then he died. He died, and I never seen him again. And I remember going to the funeral, and there was only one national figure from a big union who was there at the funeral service, and that was Arthur Scarker. And I thought, this is terrible. This is so wrong what they've done to him. It was so wrong what they've done to him. Yeah, he was a militant. Yeah, he wanted better paying conditions, but not to do that with the needle and the liquid cosh. I only took the liquid cosh once. It gives you the 100 yards stare. You're like a bloody zombie. But as I say, you get over it, and you pull it. I've always had a fabulous family around me, a real great family, you know, and you pull yourself together. And then I got a little chance to do this. I had to go for an audition to LWT for a program called United Kingdom, and so I had an old post office van. I was living in North Wales, so I had an old post office van, and I was living in Coed Powys. My mate was living in Bersham, and he went, you're going to London, aren't you, Rick? I said, yeah. He said, can I come with you? He said, I want to get a job on the Barbican. He was a brickie. His name was Tony Gates. I said, yeah, okay. So anyway, we drives to London, doing about 40 miles an hour. It took us forever. Anyway, we're driving along, and we come to this bloody big sign, nearly as big as that screen, and it had on it, London. So I pulled in behind the bloody thing. I'm here. So I didn't have a clue. And I said to this fella, I said, excuse me, mate, which way is LWT, London Weekend Television? He went, if you go down there, get the tube to so-and-so, and I had no money. I said, no, I said, I'm walking. He went, walking? I said, yeah. He said, well, you just keep going in that direction and keep asking. Anyway, walked. And I got there, and the thing was with my mate, he was going to the Barbican. Whoever finished first, waiting in the foyer of LWT, you know, for our left back. Anyway, by the time I got there, bloody big hole in my shoe. So it goes in and goes up this comfort. When I'd signed the paper to have the audition, I didn't put my own name, because my name had been all over the papers, you know, with being in jail. So I put a phony name in. So anyway, I said, so-and-so have come for an interview. He said, oh yeah, go up on the left. So goes up in the lift, knocked on the door, and the voice said, "Come in." And I'll never forget it. Honestly, it's stuck in my mind. We've laughed about it since. I walked into this room and there's a fella sitting here, he's sitting there with his feet on a polished table. And I thought, if my mother was behind you, she would care a little bit. Anyway, it turned out his name was Roland Joffrey, the director. So he said to me, you've done a little bit of building, have you? I said, yeah, I've done a little bit of building. And a bit of building drawing, but I've got me city and girls and I've taught him. And he started winding me up, and I didn't realise he was winding me up. And he said, "We've got the best police force in the world." I said, "No, we haven't." He said, "They're honest," and I said, "No, they're not." I said, "They're as bent as an Arab dagger." I said, "They're shocking." And I didn't know he was winding me up. So in the end, I said, "Stick your film, stick it." Walked out, got in the lift, and going down, and he shouted, "I know who you are. You're Ricky Tomlinson." I said, "Fuck off." "I know who you are. You're Ricky Tomlinson." Anyway, it goes down there, and Tony Gates, my mate's waiting. So I said, "Let's go." He said, "Did you get the extras for petrol to get home?" Back in, up in the lift. Knocks on the door. He said, "Come in." He said, "What is it?" I said, "What about these expenses?" He said, "How much is the train fare?" I think it was about 23 quid in them days. I said, "It's about 23 quid. He said to the girl, "Give him £25. So she gave me 20. I said, "Thanks very much." Went down. Anyway, we got home, and I told him, like, I'd done building drawing, this, that, and the other, and whatever. The next day, I had the old Bakelite phone in the cottage, I rang and said hello, and he said, "This is Roland Joffrey's office. He wants you to do a workshop for him. Can you get up to Rochdale," I think it was. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I phoned my mate, Tony Scoggo. I said, "Tony, have you got the van and the mixer and everything?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "The fella wants us to do a workshop, build him a workshop." so anyway, we've got a van, there's all sorts on it, cement, sand, a couple of spades and all that. So he drives up to this place, and we walk in, and it's like a block of flats. But there's a big room, and there's people sitting around. And when I went in, I knew some of them, like Frankie Clark was there, Marky Clark, Chris Bernard, a couple of actors from Liverpool. I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "We're here for the workshop." "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh," that's what we're here for." I didn't have a clue. Anyway, Joffrey come out, and he went, "Now listen," he gave everyone a sheet of paper. It was a page out of the Guardian that had been, copied, and he gave everyone a copy, and he went, "Now look, you're living here in this place," he said, "and they're putting the rent up. Putting the rent up £10 a week, and you're not going to pay for it. What are you going to do about it?" So, and then he just got off. So what? No one's moving. So in the end, I just jumped up and went, "Listen, I'm not paying a penny extra." I said, "We're living in this shithole." I said, "Look at the kids can't play in the grass because it's full of broken bottles. The windows are all cracked." I said, "You can't get in the lift. It's like getting in a bloody urinal." "I'm not going." And then my mate jumped up. Then another fella jumped up. And then we were going to march on Poland. We were going to march. Anyway, the thing is, he come over then and he just said, "Listen," he said, "if I give you a little part in this movie," he said, "you won't let me down, will you?" I said, "Bloody hell, no, I won't let you down. This is the truth. I know this is the truth. I don't tell lies, because you got out one lie, you've had it." So I'm there the next day, the phone goes, "Hello, this is Roland Joffrey's office. He'd like to offer you £1,700 for your part in the movie." I said, "Have I got to kill anybody?" and she said, "I'm Tony Scoggo, your mate, £1,400. Phone went down, so phone Scoggo said, "Tony, we've got a little job, He said, "I'm getting 1,700 quid, you're getting 14. Oh, he said, "Happy days. Happy days." Anyway, the phone went again. Picked the phone, said, "Hello, this is Roland Joffrey's office. The play's been cancelled. Your checks are in the post." What had happened? He'd gone to LWT with the script. It was a Jim Allen script. Jim Allen, Catherine Seed and all them. And they said, "Oh, this is too controversial, we're not doing it." And he said, "I've give verbal contracts out." So they paid us. So it then went to BBC, and they done it. Then it was called a commune. Then they took it to the BBC, and the BBC made it. They called it United Kingdom. So we got another bite of the cherry, and so that's how I got into the business.